afternoon.
Hey, hold on, there's feedback somewhere.
It's on your side. I've not got anything switched on.
Never. Oh well. Seems to have disappeared.
Right.
That'll be the echo because of the size of this room.
Now then, can I play this? Have I got a right?
That'll be the echo because of the size of this room. Now you've got something on, David.
All right, I'll just turn it down. There you go. I was putting on YouTube on my other screen just to see what it looked like on YouTube.
I better put Facebook up on the other screen so I can see the comments.
Yeah. Jim Stevens up. Hello, Jim. How you doing? Scott Noble. Hello.
We'll get 17 so far on Facebook.
Hello, Jim. How you doing? Scott Noble. Hello.
Afternoon, Diane. Sandra.
Hello, Jim. How you doing? Scott Noble. Hello. That's come from your side, Davey.
Aye, I've just muted it again.
Right, fine.
Hi, Harry. Hi, Duncan. Hi, Elizabeth. Callum. BJ. Alexander. Quentin. Sarah. You're in the bloody house. Right, good afternoon, folks. We'll give it to 4 o'clock and then we'll get this thing underway.
I just give people a chance to get in the door. If you know anybody that isn't on yet, that you may want to give a wee nudge to, then by all means you've got time. Scribble them a wee private message or something like that. See if we can get them to come in.
Hello, Sydney. We'll get Avro on for Sydney, Australia.
Aye.
Hi, Moira. Hi, Margaret. So, we're doing all right.
Many we got on board so far. Any idea?
Well, according to Reesteen, there's 65, but it doesn't give me the YouTube count.
Right.
According to Facebook, we'll get 37 watching.
Well, there's 30 on YouTube.
Right, well, that's roughly it. So about 98 watching at the moment.
Aye.
Anyway, let's get started.
Yeah.
Topics for discussion today. The takedown of the mainstream media, which is going on by some prominent ex-BBC reporters. And then, of course, we'll get people like James O'Brien and John Robertson up here who are taking down the mainstream media all the time, but they're not getting any airspace for it.
Aye.
And it's the same way Ruth Watson up here. Normally, people who used to, Ruth, she's a star, an absolute star.
Oh, she is. Truly, I am a fan.
As you know, Ruth penned a bit in the National the other day there about the carry on at the BBC and how poor the quality of journalism is at BBC. And then we have Emily Maitlis on at the Fringe with the BBC Director General in the audience taking down the BBC and saying it's now a Tory mouthpiece and it's been infiltrated by the Conservatives.
Yeah.
And as we know, James O'Brien, he leathers the Daily Mail and the Express on a daily basis for the crap that they pump out. And the Telegraph, of course, it gets spanked by him and all.
Yeah.
So, what have you made here?
What have I made of it?
Yes.
At the end of the day, is it going to change anything? Is anybody going to listen? Is anybody going to listen that hasn't already clocked on that the BBC have been doing this? I mean, sure enough, all my pals online that I deal with on a day-by-day basis, they do get it. But how are we going to get Mrs. McGlomford down the road to get it? She just switches on the telly, switches on the 6 o'clock news, and it's a case of, if it's BBC, shh, don't mention Brexit. Whatever you do. That's my take on it.
Hold on, David. If you're up here, then it's demonising Nicola Sturgeon and make it look as if she's obsessed with independence rather than the will of the Scottish people.
Who's saying that? Put it up.
Well, everybody's bloody saying it. Put it up. Wow, all the cuckoos in the nest, all the especially the loony rags, the right-wing rags, the right-headed ones. Maybe Scotland can borrow. Please read the Scotland Act 2016. That's right, it can, John, for capital spending. You really don't come on here and lecture me. I'm not even going to give you time. Don't tell me to read the Scotland Act. Fuck me, it's printed in the back of my head. Right. Wow.
Oh, dear. Right.
We can borrow 3 billion, eh? Wonderful. You hold on to 40 billion of your tax revenues and tell us we can borrow 3 in our own fucking credit card. Wow, we get some spanners down that road. John, you know you're the problem in England. I'm going to make this clear so you piss off pretty quickly. You're the problem down there. You're a working class Tory voter. You've just had your electricity bill scudded to fucking £5,000 a year because you won't have average use down there in London, although you will get a wee bit cheaper than the rest of us. And you're trying to lecture us on politics. Man, you're about as political savvy as a half-wit or maybe a scarecrow in a field because you keep voting for self-harm down that road. No belong to your own strike with every other fucker trying to pay your electricity bill. Mental case. That's you, you're off. Sent off, you've been dealt for a day. That's enough of your stupidness. We can borrow 3 billion for capital spending. Fucking capital spending, borrow our own money after fucking the Westminster government and get taxed twice. You really are a spanner, John. Hey, see next time you get into your toilet in London and flush it, remember it cost fucking Scottish taxpayers 400 million quid for you to have a shite and still rising. When you go on your HS2 to fucking Birmingham, you spanner. Guess what? That's costing us 6 billion quid and rising. And we won't even get on the fucking train. Wow. Mental case. Crossrail's already cost Scotland 800 million quid. It's in fucking London. It's no good to nobody in Scotland. But it was deemed to be of national importance. So Scotland had to pay for it. Wales had to pay for it. Northern Ireland had to fucking pay a share and all. Queensferry Crossing. 100,000 English trucks a fucking year go at it. Not a penny. Wasn't it fucking deemed to be of national importance? We could borrow 3 billion quid out of our own capital fucking budget to build it. Man. You're about as savvy as a turnip when it comes to fucking politics. Don't fucking bother me anymore, man. I can only put up with so much fucking gross stupidity in one lifetime. There you go, folks. That rant was fucking free. My fucking time, week in, week out. I think you're a fucking plant.
It's Boris Johnson behaving as a bus driver. That's what it is.
I suppose your lights buses right now. Do you wonder when you get fucking half-wits like that to vote Tory driving them? Well, come up here and drive a bus and saying about being Tories. Why are jocks always angry? Because we have to put up with fucking half-wits next door who keep fucking voting self-harm on us while doing it to themselves, John. Wow. Fucking talk about fucking rocket scientists. Right,
anyway.
Aye, we're talking about a takedown of the mainstream media. Then you get spanners like him who live on mainstream media. Next, John, you're going to tell us we get £2,000 a head after your spanner. Wow. Because where's the English fucking revenue and spending? Spending and revenue review, John. Tell you why there isn't one. Because you're fucking borrowing money in all your credit cards because you're skint.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. That is something that does need saying often.
Yes.
The fact that you wouldn't
Listen, that brings us on to JS figures, so let's just fucking do it now. 166 estimates, not a fucking Scooby which raised in fuel duties, fucking alcohol duties, tobacco duties, which raised here in Scotland for the supermarket chains. Not a Scooby. We get an 8.3% population share attributed to us, but we pay more for our fuel. Guess why? Because we fucking burn more of it. Our communities are further apart. We pay more for our electricity and gas. Why? Because the English fuckers are too stupid to transition those to renewables, and it's colder here. So the population share thing doesn't work. As pointed out by Professor Richard Murphy, who says actually we don't have a 24% deficit. He's done the corrections, and it's probably the exact same as England's, about 6% or less.
Yeah.
And when you have a balance of trade surplus, you can't have a fucking deficit.
Yeah.
It's impossible. Absolutely fucking impossible. So I think that covers the Jers. Anything you want to add to that?
There's maybe a wee fact to put in there, right? Scotland are an exporting nation, right? And England are an importing nation. That means that when you look at the collectively, they look at the balance of payments for the entire UK, right? Exporting means it would be a positive. Importing means it would be a negative. England's buying in lots rather than exporting. And what that means is it affects all sorts. Scotland obviously doesn't have the numbers that England has. That's a grant, that's a given. But we do make a bit of an inroads into that balance of payments figure. That affects everything. It affects the value of the pound. It affects all sorts, right? And when you're talking about GERS and the nonsense and the act of pure creative accounting by the UK Treasury, it is absolutely ridiculous. And I'll tell you now, nobody up here believes it now. It's people are just seeing through it as being more crap coming from London, and we shrug our shoulders now as regards GERS.
What I want to agree with Professor Murphy on, David, is that he's scratching his head at why we're still using Ian Lang's formula to this day.
I know. Yeah.
I know they're setting up a new set of stats at the moment to try and get the information correct. It's very difficult because trying to get the information out there. Treasury is difficult. HM Treasury, HM Customs and Revenue is difficult because they haven't got a fucking clue.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So when these things were made up as a wheeze, Mr. Lang, who made them up, said this will give us an advantage over all our political opponents as well as the Scottish nationalists, because at that time there was a drive as there was for devolution and home rule, and the campaign was Scotland's oil.
It's set up to make it look as if Scotland is the poor relative. That's always the way it's made up. However, when you look straight away at the actual natural resources that Scotland has, and it's massive, the resources that we've got, right? Wind, wave, tidal, that's part of it. But don't forget, we've still got the oil and the gas. And that
Brown pointed out, David, she went and dug the figures out. There's 175 billion quid lying in bonded warehouses on untaxed fucking whiskey at this point.
But let me just finish talking about natural resources, right? Natural resources are actually an asset. There was one of the chief economists way back in the 2014 run. He was Professor Hughes Hallett. He's the one that came up with the idea. He explained to people, when you've got oil or gas that's under the seabed, that's an asset. Providing you can guesstimate how much is there at any one given time, then that's an asset that can be used. The same as your house is used as an asset against a mortgage. That's an asset that can be used to deal with the currency and all the rest of it, and the UK's borrowings and all that sort of thing, right? The moment it's taken out of the ground, the amount that's taken out then becomes something that is sold and is no longer an asset. So your asset base reduces as you use the oil. However, I have heard of certain wells suddenly getting replenished and they call it fossil fuels. Well, before all the nonsense with the Russians, it's like the Russians were laughing every time they heard the word fossil fuels, because they were saying that that these liquids were taken from below 20,000 feet, and no blooming fossils existed at that distance down. So I don't think they fully know what a fossil fuel is, or whether it is a fossil fuel. However, it's
The story behind that one is Rockefeller, 1920, I think it was, Geneva Science Convention, where they coined the term fossil fuels, so they could say it was a finite resource, and that way it was more valuable.
Yeah.
I think that's because we know that in Texas some wells have pre-fault themselves as well.
Yeah.
You know, they'll leave them for 20 years, go back and go, fuck, this is full again, start pumping.
Yeah.
You know. So anyway,
so the value of all these natural resources means that we've got real wealth in Scotland, and if we've got real wealth, if you know the difference between wealth and money, wealth is something that's absolutely, it's there. You know fine well, you can take it somewhere, you can sell it, and that becomes money. Money is used just purely and simply for distribution of that wealth, right?
I'm looking forward to Ian Wood's contribution this time. Now he's a knight of the realm and sitting in the House of Lords, because he's the fucking tries to mislead us again. It's straight into court for misusing his position in public office. He's not a private citizen anymore. You know, so when Indy Ref 2 is called, and it has been, they haven't come away with running out of fuel. They can't. They can't even come away with the JERS figures push that they just did, because after all, the windfall tax just came from Scottish assets.
Yeah. He tried to say we had only 15 billion barrels of oil left. Well, that 15 barrels has been and gone, and we're still producing the stuff, right? So, but as far as the wealth is concerned, straight away, you look at the GERS figures, and you know it's a big lie. You're all being taken in by a big lie.
Let me put this one up and address this one, because it's quite a good point that
Go for a trillion, yes, that's right.
It's a good point that Jane's making, but Jane, he was actually only talking about the financial sector. He wasn't talking about any other sector. Yeah. Scotland's financial sector alone is worth 1.5 trillion. It's actually worth more than that now, because when Aberdeen Asset Management and Scottish Widows amalgamated and became the one company, they became the third biggest asset management company in the world.
Yeah.
Managing trillions of pounds.
Yeah.
So the value of the Scottish financial sector, well, you only have to get into Glasgow and look at the banks being built to realise it's growing. It's growing exponentially.
And then you ask yourself the question, why?
Right.
Why are we coming into Scotland?
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Because basically, this section was to cover JERS and why they're wrong.
Yeah.
We could date sector by sector, breakdown by breakdown, if you like, but to simplify it, believe it or not, this next subject we're going to go into right now is Nicola Sturgeon getting it in the neck for being at the Nordic Council, opening up a new trade office in the Nordic nations.
Yes.
And she's been told, hammered in the press today, when she's been blamed for the waste being piled high in a Labour and Tory-run Edinburgh Council. You've got to remember, these disputes are about public sector workers in the councils. And you'll find probably that the 15 councils that are on strike at this point in time, if you have a look at who's running the administrations, you could more or less bet your boots on it. It'd be coalitions between the Brit and Nats. Yeah. So Nicola Sturgeon's getting it in the neck for being in Denmark and opening a trade enclave. Now, one of the reasons why we haven't been hit as hard with Brexit as everybody else is the 79 trade enclaves we've got around the world working specifically on selling Scotland to these countries. Yeah. And asking these countries to come and manufacture in Scotland, because we have a highest educated population in Europe. We are no longer the gateway to Europe. That is the problem with this union. But we are not suffering quite as bad as they thought we were going to suffer down that road, because we have our own trade enclaves around the world. And thanks to Mr. Salmond and the SNP and Nicola Sturgeon going after him, we now have better exports to other parts of the world thanks to these places.
Yeah.
So Nicola Sturgeon is doing important work on behalf of the Scottish people. Normally, when these enclaves open up, then the employment level in Scotland goes up, because they realise that we've got good people here, highly educated, that can do the stuff they want at a reasonable price. Because let's face it, we don't exactly charge exorbitant wages for our skills.
Yeah.
But that, of course, is set down that road, which was something David and I were talking about before you guys all come on, because as you know, we like to shoot the breeze, David and I, and we were talking about the Referenda Act, and how I said that the minute it was passed, she should have, I said this in my own shows, she should have started holding a series of referendums, and the first one should have been employment law and employment rights. Well, employment law is already devolved. Employment rights, if it was expressed by the Scottish people that they wanted to control employment rights, Westminster would have conceded that. They would have given us it, they would have set a precedence, and then if we kept having a series of referendums of whatever we wanted going forward, they would have set a precedence.
Yeah.
You know. So I'm surprised that the Referenda Act hasn't become a monthly fucking thing. I'm surprised it hasn't been digitised, and I'm surprised we haven't went to the country on more big issues since it passed.
Yeah.
But
perhaps that's something that you chaps could be talking to your MPs, your MSPs and your MPs about. Just keep on dropping in. Look, we've got this power to run referenda, and we should be using it. We know the big referendum is going to be the important one, but we could be running referenda on all sorts. Switzerland runs regular referenda all the time to find out what the people want.
Yep. And we should be doing the same thing here. And it was a miss of the Scottish Government not to pounce on that. I think it was a mistake. But to go back to what we're talking about, Nicola Sturgeon getting it in the neck, what's interesting is, I don't see John there anymore, but I wonder why the people doing that road are not asking where the missing UK government is.
Yeah.
People are going to die, starve, because of the energy crisis. Where's Bojo the Clown? Is he still in Greece? Where's this temporary chancellor that we've got?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So it's still that's a good point, Stephen, because you're going to bring us to another thing that we were talking about. We're going to talk about. This one's flowing quite quick, David. Still very few opinion polls on independence, but there was an Ipsos Mori poll yesterday saying that 59% of the people in Scotland believe that Scotland's heading in a different political direction from England.
Yeah.
And the same poll also showed that the yes argument is winning. Yeah. Because it's only has to be pointed out that we're heading in a different direction for England, and as 59% of the population already believe that, much easier to sell them independence now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? Because we look at what the idiots doing that road are doing, and I don't mean the people, although to a certain degree, people like John are responsible for this. They keep voting for self-harm. When I say the idiots doing that road, I actually mean they're politicians. But as Neil Oliver has been pointing out, Neil Oliver of all people, arts unionist, he's been pointing out. David, you tell me what they've been pointing out. Well, I guess
basically what he's been doing is he's all of a sudden the scales have dropped from his eyes. If you imagine, Neil Oliver was very, very vocal being against independence. He still hasn't come out for independence, but what he has done is he's effectively taken the British state apart bit by bit in terms of what's going on, what they're doing to us. And he's all but said himself, it's bloody genocide that's going on. But he's doing it as a UK-wide voice, right? But if you get a chance to see Neil Oliver's video or videos now, I do suggest have a look and see what the guys say, right? possible, not probable, but it's possible he could all of a sudden say, right, I'm for independence this time. Sorry, David.
You see what I'm laughing about? It's on the screen.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I was looking up here. Went to the sport in the best in order. Just go. Yeah. Aye. Fair enough.
But Bojo in the Ukraine.
Well, Bojo's saying you're going to have to suck up the pain of the energy bill increases. I mean, my goodness, what a bloody thing to say.
Somebody's got to fight for a war in Ukraine. Sending a shitload of weapons. Arms manufacturers don't do that stuff for nothing.
Yeah.
What else? 1984. Let's see your comment. Just thinking about it, what would Scotland be? A republic? Or, well, I'm not sure. I think there'll be a deal done to keep the monarchy for a wee while and then they'll have a referendum on it. Folks, I'll let David say this one. To me, the monarchy is an irrelevance. At 10 million quid a year to Scots for a head of state, it's cheaper than the president. Simple as that.
Cherry bobs. It's cherry bobs. When you look at the cost of a president, the residence, the security, everything that goes with it, to be honest with you, the Queen as head of state makes a lot of sense financially, right? So, you know, I'm totally against the monarchy. My goodness me, what an anachronistic woman setup. You look at it in a pound note figure, bloody cheap.
That's your campaign for after we won our independence. Up the republic. Hey, do something more, don't you, David? Shame I quite like old Lizzie. Met her a few times. Right, let's see what other guff will go here to talk about. We're going to answer each other quite well. Where are we? The unions and the strikes. It's absolutely mental. That's where we were at. I mean, you see them all get together in Edinburgh, standing next to a bin overflowing with rubbish, trying to blame the Scottish government for a Labour and Tory council no offering their employees enough. The Scottish government don't pump an extra 140 million quid to try and help ease the pain. And what did they do? They up the offer by 1.5%. Now we're up at 5%, and people are going, no, not enough.
Yeah.
But
this is going to cost the Labour and Tory administration a lot politically, because it's starting to get out. The whole issue is starting to get out of, wait a minute, this is not the Scottish government. This is them that's done that. You know, they've created this situation. You know, so the deal was done, I believe. It was done and it was settled. And that's what happened was that the Labour and Tory administration in Edinburgh got involved, and then all of a sudden it wasn't done. As I got it, yeah. So, this is going to cost them politically bad. It just yet again shows you what a ridiculous situation we've got, where Labour and Tories, two cheeks of the same arse, always two cheeks of the same arse. If you're Labour, if you're old Labour, and you still continue to vote for that bunch of fucking twats, right? There's something wrong with you. They're no longer socialist. They're not the Red Clydesiders anymore, right? They're pure and simple. They're just Tory with a different coloured rosette. That's all they are.
I like this one. Sorry, Steve McNeil. I noticed piles of rubbish were attracting rats in Edinburgh. Unionist rats.
Excellent.
But I have to say that
Sean Wiley says he's noticed supermarkets have stopped importing stock from the EU. It's all UK made goods on shoe. So I noticed that when I went to Lidl's, that they didn't have. One time you went to Lidl's, and if you're into cheese like I'm big into cheese. You go to the cheese counter, you cheese from all over Europe, and it was lovely. and now there isn't quite so much of a choice now. It's pretty whittled down, you know. So yeah.
But the thing is, it's no case the supermarkets have effectively stopped importing stock from the EU. It's that those who used to sell into the UK from the EU said, fuck that, can't be bothered with your tax regime, can't be bothered with increased costs. So it's not the supermarkets. The supermarkets are still trying to buy it.
Yeah.
They're just getting told, nah, can't be fucked. You're not getting it. And that's the programme I did in food security, where I stated in 2016, after the Brexit vote, and that eventually the cost of living in Europe will come down, because what used to come to the UK will go into the European market, and it'll bring down the cost of living. And food standards in the EU will be higher than here, and the population in the EU will get healthier.
Yeah.
As more and more fresh foods are available to them at a cheaper rate. And no doubt they'll save money right across the board, NHS, the whole bloody lot, or the health systems, the whole bloody lot.
Yeah, just to add a wee more meat to that. I deal in the sound. I'm a sound engineer, right? Okay. And within my industry, it's like we used to buy a load of microphones from Germany and Austria. There were a few really good manufacturers from there, and just oddball names. We're not talking like AKG, Sennheiser. You can still get those, but it's the other ones that are not quite so well known, but still excellent microphones. Can't get them now, because the companies that make them are just not prepared to export to the UK. We've got plenty of work on here, you know. Forget the UK. And if that's just one small facet of one industry, then you can imagine that all industry, or manufacturing widgets from parts, are going to be in the same position if they did traditionally get stuff from Europe.
Now, let's address Jane's comment here. So the only route to power for Labour branch offices in Scotland is by doing grubby background deals with Tories. They will pay a heavy price for this. People in Scotland will not forget. A couple of things to address there. If Labour want to get back into power in Scotland, then they're going to have to switch side to the independent side. And the other thing about that is, what's interesting about these strikes is the cuckoos in the nest are screaming foul with the Scottish Government, knowing fine well that their imperial masters are setting the Scottish Government budget.
Yeah.
There's rank hypocrisy in what they're doing. And they're compliant partners in the mainstream media, which takes us back to subject number one, is how they're getting away with it. Anybody with half a brain knows that we have a fixed budget, and it comes to us set by Westminster. And it's a bit like the Gers figures. Why they keep playing with these formulas set by Westminster, I have no idea. For me, John, it was nice to have a wee rant you made. Don't take it personally. Have a nice day. Didn't have to get my blood pressure up before I get out of the depot tonight, that's for sure. Anyway, where are we? You enjoy the rest of your day, John.
Yeah, final. We're going to go into the final bit, which is obviously, as you maybe all expecting, we've got to say something on the cost of living. This morning, I was about 5 o'clock, and I sat and went on Facebook, put a few messages up and the rest of it. But really, I was waiting at 7 o'clock for the announcement by Ofgem. And everything that Martin Lewis has said has now come to pass. That then means that we've got to take seriously what Martin Lewis says about the end of the year, the next cap uplift, and also April. So what he's predicting is using the algorithm that the actual energy companies use in order to work out what the cost will be, and it's beyond frightening. It's got to the point now where people are going to start getting very, very angry. And the first thing I'm going to say on that one is if you've got it in your head to go out the door and get involved in a riot, stupid, absolutely stupid. You've got to figure to what end. You've always got to look at these things in terms of consequences. To what end would you breaking a few skulls help us? Wouldn't help at all. It might release your anger, Well, what I would say to you is go and take it out in the blooming back alley, kicking a wall. That'll do. But if you actually get involved in a riot situation, that would just play into the British establishment's hands. You would then be talking their language, and they would just deal with it in the way they always have done. And it's good stuff, you know. So you, we, everybody, you've got to realise. David and I have said this again and again. It's our Gandhi moment. We need to keep cool heads. If you want to help, if you want to do something, write to your MPs, write to your MSPs, and don't just do it once, do it over and over and over. Become the squeaky wheel that doesn't matter how much the oil it is, it's going to still continue to squeak, right? That way you can help. And also, if you want to really help, start looking at people in your own street and which ones are going to be in trouble, because you know who's going to be in trouble. I mean, I've got a wee lady along the end of the street here. I know for a fact she's going to be in dreadful trouble, and we're going to keep an eye on her. Go and help your neighbours. Go and help your neighbours, because I assure you, they're going to really need your help. If you're in a situation where you think you can get through this, start looking around you who else you can help. All right, carry on, David. Sorry about that.
Aye, that's all right. Give me time to look at my emails, because I'm getting to see Neil Gray about it next week.
Aye, good.
I just need to reply to the email. Sorry about that, folks. A bit unprofessional of me, but as we're only having a chit chat and I'm multi-screen,
Not at all. It's important. Okay, it's actually much more important than this broadcast. You talking to Neil Gray. So anyway, so the cap went up to £3,549 this morning.
Let's break that down, shall we? Now the cap, you've got to remember, folks, the cap does not apply to your electricity or gas bill.
Yeah.
The cap applies to the unit cost of the production of, right? So just because the average household bills went up to 3,596, that doesn't mean that's what your bill's going to be.
Yeah.
This one really concerns me, especially for those who have got children who are disabled or less able, whatever way you want to put it. Now, a lot of you will remember their aunt I did the Sense Scotland cafe when I came out of there a few years back when they were attacking the disabled, and I put out a video about how these people were horrified and how the place had frozen when the Westminster was announcing what was going to happen with their PIP and what was going to happen with their mobility vehicles and how their benefits were going to be slashed. And I was horrified that day because I could see the fear in these people's eyes. They had kids who were really got needs, and they were watching their lives getting flushed in the toilet. And they were at that again. Where we are. I mean, these people with kids with special needs, they're under power 24 hours a day. Some of these kids are fed through machines and things like that. And a wee woman from Dundee was on saying she's facing £770 a month.
Yeah.
That's what her electricity bill is going to be, because that's what it's going to cost. She was actually pleading with the Scottish Government to pay the electricity bill because it would be cheaper than the child having to get into hospital during the winter, because they can't afford to heat a room and run the equipment. Now, the equivalent cost to keep the child per day in the NHS is £1,000 a day.
Yeah.
Whereas the child's getting free care at home. The parents have been trained how to look after the child at home. It saves the National Health Service. It saves the public purse. It would make more sense if the electricity was prescribed by the NHS for that particular family, or a proportion of the cost, or even legislate that the energy companies had to sell it to these people at a huge discount.
Yeah.
Because what we're seeing here is genocide. The old and the disabled are being knocked off at a rapid rate in lots here.
Yeah.
When you kill more than 10,000 of your citizens with your policies, it's called genocide. Since austerity started, The last figures I've seen is we're up at 222,000 unnecessary deaths because of the 12 years of austerity policies the Tories have put through. When you think about that, that's 22,000 of your citizens here in Scotland. If we round it up to 10%, you know, that's a genocide, folks. But what they're doing with the least of us, which is the measure of our society, tells you that our society's failed. We have food banks outside, working people going to food banks. We've got nurses out in bins, eating out of bins. We've got granny riding a bus to Stay Wareham. We've got mom and pa skipping meals and eating the leftovers after children's plates. We've got parents going into hospital with malnutrition. This is as serious as it fucking gets. And David's right. This is, I've said this myself, this is our Gandhi moment. Civil unrest is not the answer here. Leave that to our next door neighbours. We have to go through a process of active civil disobedience. So, you know, there's a couple of campaigns on the go at the moment. Next to telly tax, it's 159 quid a year, better off feeding your children or yourself or keeping your house warm. And cancel your direct debit. We're not saying don't pay. We're saying cancel your direct debit. John McGoran put a cracking post up the day about it. He cancelled his direct debit, spoke to his provider and said, by the way, I'm only paying you what I can afford. And the provider said, fair dues. The wee agent he was talking to on the phone agreed with him 100%. But this is a great concern. This takes me back to that post I did when I had just come out of Send Scotland. I was almost in tears. You could taste the fucking fear. And that's what we're seeing here. But in younger people, that will be anger. And we have to stay on top of that.
Right,
because the state will try and provoke anger.
There's a few things that I've given a considerable amount of thought to, which is, I've been trying to deal with the councils and the police community section, and I'll let you deal with that first.
No, you carry on. I'm just letting people read it.
And the police are actually they're quite open. They've emailed me back a few times. I sent them an initial 1,000-word email to tell them what was coming down the line. The fact that it was a humanitarian crisis. David this morning came up with, he says it's a humanitarian crisis on purpose, and you know it's a planned humanitarian crisis. But the councils and the police, well, of the two, the police have been the most forthcoming. Now, there are things that the police can do individually, just while Bobby's been on the beat, all the rest of it, right? They can keep checking the older folk and all the rest of it. But don't forget, this could affect single parent mums with young kids. If you've got a baby in the house, you've got to keep the place warm. You must keep the place warm. The other thing is, if you've got a prepayment meter, you're gubbed. Well and simply because you need to keep feeding that meter. In that sense, I would say you're going to have to talk to your energy company, and you're also going to have to talk to your local authority to see what help they've got that they can give you. Because there has to be ways that these authorities can do something to help you, right? If you are on a prepayment meter, then for goodness sake, just you rattle all the doors. Make sure you're contacting your MP or MSP. Contact the council. Contact Citizens Advice Bureau, because they tend to have a list of all the places that you can go and get help. You might be able to get help from charities. I'm talking people specifically here with prepayment meters. If you've not got a prepayment meter and you find that you can't pay the exorbitant amount that the energy company are laying in front of you, then first off, if you've got a direct debit, stop it. Stop it now. Do it through your bank, get it ended, and get on to normal billing method of paying. Then, if you find yourself in a situation you cannot pay what's what's down there on the bill. Don't stop paying. Pay what you can. You've got the most important things is you need a roof over your house, over your head. You need food, and you need that the house to be warm enough to live in. If you've got to just make it whereby you're heating one single room, then for goodness sake, do that. You can you manage bearing your arse in the cold bathroom. However, the place that you live in most of the time, which is your living room, keep that warm. Dig out the heavy curtains. If you've got heavy curtains, get them up on the window. If you've got a chance to if you've got lots of heavy curtains, get them round the walls, pinned up with drawing pins or whatever, because that was called arras, and it's how they kept the castles warm back in the heyday, back in the medieval times, right? So
it's also how the Russians keep the house warm in these concrete giant blocks that they build. But right. Let's move on to ending up on something more light-hearted, shall we?
Yeah. Go on then.
After hearing Arlene Foster has been brought over to help Ruth, expect they're hoping a present protest being done by violent and unruly people. Don't fall for it, keep the peace. I think the Arlene Foster and the Ruth Davies thing is off.
Yeah, it's been called off. I think in actual fact, the moment Arlene Foster was told, do you know she's gay? It's like, I think that would be a bit of a problem for Arlene Foster.
Yeah, you're right, it would. Anti-abortion and anti-gay marriage and all sorts of things. I mean, Arlene's a religious fundamentalist. You know? I mean, her and her, I mean, I don't know if you know this, folks, but in the event of Scottish independence and Irish reunification, England don't want these people. They're looking at resettling them in the Bible Belt in America. Hey, Rev of Wrestling and Jim Campbell. Is the Pink Grannies voice? I don't know. I quite like the Grannies. Lynn and Polly Bag are good fun. I'm not going to say anything about Lynn and Polly Bag. You know, they're not that keen on me because I don't believe in their Alba Party stuff. I'm not going down the Salvo Road, you know, and they don't believe we've reached for Gandhi moment. They'll rip the piss out of me and in my less wrapped in sheets. But I mean, I just see that as good humour. If Lynn and Polly Bag want to go get themselves arrested, that's up to them. It really is. I mean, I've liked Lynn and Polly for a long time now. I'm not going to fall out with them. Yeah. I thought they seem to like having it. I mean, and I'm out there in public to be shot at. So if Lynn and Polly Bag want to have a pop at me, that's fine. I'm not really caring, you know. Brilliant. Anyway, yeah, a wee bit of light-hearted stuff to round things up because it is getting serious. It really is.
Yeah. It's now got to a point where Scotland, because it's in winter, our days are shorter. We're generally much colder than the rest of the UK. Obviously, given Northern Ireland, but I'm talking about England. And the people of Scotland are going to suffer heavier than the people in England due to that. And really, it's going to get worse, guys. It's going to get worse. And you're going to have to learn, same as you would do at a bus stop, when you've stood at a bus stop, waiting a bus, and there's somebody else there, you strike up the conversation, because you're Scottish. It's built into you. It's the way you behave. You can start a conversation with a perfect stranger, as long as you know a nutter, right? And at the end of the day, that's what we need to do. We need to start behaving as communities and get together and link arms and protect everybody. What's that? The Westminster open a colony office, Edinburgh. Yeah, it's just
the official opening of Elizabeth House.
All right, okay.
1st of September. The colony office.
Yeah.
What can you say? Of course, there'll be a protest there.
Yeah.
If no by ordinary citizens, then the only fringe will be there.
Yeah. Just if you're there and if somebody starts battling, just stick a finger out and point to them and go, it's them. right? So that police can run in and take them, because these people that will start fights and all the rest of it, right? They're not on your side. They're not on your side. No matter what they say, they're not on your side. If they are on your side, then they'll listen to me and they'll fucking stop it, right?
Now, David, just another wee bit of humour as we round this one up. No doubt the new office was part of the debt spent on behalf of Scotland. Right, now listen, folks. We've done with 45, we're on 47. Now, we'll probably pop in some point before next Thursday, but we'll see what happens. But remember,
sorry about yesterday, by the way. It was a tummy bug, and I literally didn't know which way to turn. Too much information, David. I didn't know which way to turn.
And another interesting one. New PM to go to Balmoral, breaking tradition. That's true. Apparently, all Lizzie's not well enough to travel back down the road, so whoever it is coming up here to be coronated in Scotland. That's one better than all Lizzie, because she's not been coronated here. The Duchess is just the Duchess, you know. Anyway, so if you like what we put out, folks, please subscribe to your YouTube channel, smash the like button, share. We're almost at the 1,000 subscribers, where YouTube opens up more facilities to us. So please press the subscribe button. If you're on Facebook or YouTube and you like what we do, please share. Now, the other thing is, if you're in the Central Belt, Indie 2 Cafe Charity Night, 24th of September. Kicks off, it's in the General Motors Club in Holytown. Very easy, very famous club. Very easy to find. Huge car park at the back of it. For those that are not drinking, or for anybody that wants to get a crowd of people together and come on the minibus. Tickets are available for Agnes Care at the ND2 Cafe Facebook page. Go along and join the page. But please, we're really going to, the reason why we're having the charity night is the money goes to food banks. And it's going to be a big need.
We would love to see you there. Seriously.
I said, well, let me get there. Come along and meet David and I. While Pete's having a break, I'll go up and probably Q&A and rant at half the stupidity that's going on in the UK at the moment. Because you all seem to like a rant. Even John didn't take it to heart, stayed as long as he could, said goodbye like a gentleman, you know, and he was he took the bloody rant. Anyway, as I say, if you like what David and I do, try and get the word out. Share it around, folks, okay? Now, once again, as I say, if we're going to do an impromptu, we'll probably, if it's a planned impromptu, then we decide we're going to do it, then David will put a splash out. But if it's just a case of we show up live, which we sometimes do, David doesn't even know it. I sometimes just hit the sneaky live stream button, and he didn't realise we're going until he sees the countdown. Yeah, there's my makeup. 44 million in fuel poverty. I know, Mr. E. I was pissed myself laughing. I shouldn't laugh at it, but I was. Prior to this latest rise, there's 15 million. And by the way, I don't know if you know this, Mr. E, but 4 million of those 44 million live in Scotland. And guess what? We've only got 5.4 million of population. That's tragic.
Yeah.
That's outrageous.
The ruling for fuel poverty, somebody was trying to give me the explanation that the UK government put out. It is so unwieldy. All of the mainstream media companies, what?
Save it.
What?
Time.
Oh, time.
Right,
okay.
on you go. Right, you've got 2 minutes.
It's effectively, the ruling is, after you've paid for your housing costs, then you are in energy poverty. If what's left of your wage, the energy is more than 10%, go figure it out for yourselves. That's all I want to say.
Okay, Mr. E, I was sitting doing calculating Sarah's wages a day. Now, I've got the figures here. There's my calculator. Sarah's top line is about nearly £18,000 after tax, national insurance, pension contributions. It's £13,000. Our energy costs will be about the average 3.5 thousand. So at least there with disposable income to cover all the rest of our costs of 10 grand a year doesn't sound too bad. When you throw my wage in and tap it. But we plan for our outgoings on Sarah's wage. And what we're finding is that Sarah's wage is diminishing, Anyway, Alice, you can always watch it back. That's it for this week. Well, that's it for now. Can't say this week because knowing David and I will be shooting the shit out of the weekend and something might come up and I might just hit that sneaky live button. So just keep an eye out for the sneaky live. All right. We're going to wind it up there. Say bye, David.
Bye, David.
Bye, David.